It's the time of year where we get a little serious. Summer is coming to an end, and there begins the high holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And as we get into the stage, each one of us, on some level, starts to do a little introspection, to think a little deeper, and to analyze and examine who we are and what we're about. And I think much of the time, what we end up focusing on is we have a lot of needs. We have a lot of challenges. We have a lot of things that we want from Hashem. And so, in a sense, what we spend our time doing is asking Hashem to give us those things that we need. And in this auspicious time before Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, we're focused on getting what we need from Hashem. So you make a list of all the things that, health, wealth, happiness, all the things you want from Hashem, and then you spend the time of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur davening for Hashem to give you those things. And it's very nice, and Hashem should give everyone everything they need. But I want to perhaps go a little deeper, because is that what we really want? So you get a little more money, you get a little more health, you get a little more nachas. Those are very important things. And then it's good, and then everything's fine. Maybe there's something a little bit deeper. Maybe what we want to achieve over here is to get ourselves to a space of contentment, of happiness, of true inner satisfaction, true inner happiness and joy. So that it's not about getting what you need, but getting the joy that you want to get from everything around there. And the question is it possible for us to even achieve this? Is it possible for us to get to this true joy so that we conquered, we solved the problem? In other words, we're sitting over here perpetually chasing our tail, perpetually needing more and more and more and more, and then we're davening to Hashem and asking Him to give more. Is there a space where you just get there? Where you're just in tune, in line with Hashem, and you just have that inner joy? You're just good. Everything's amazing and unbelievable. Sort of like it'll happen when Mashiach comes. When Mashiach comes, we're looking for a utopian world. Everything's perfect. Maybe it's not about asking Hashem for giving us the things that we want, but maybe it's us aligning ourselves with Hashem, and we do the work, and then we get what we want. Maybe it's us that need to do a deep inner change and transformation to get there. We're in a state of war all the time. There's a double war for each one of us. The first war is you got to contend with life's issues. Lots going on out there. And in your life, by definition, God makes us go places and we have no choice. So you kind of like have to move along. You have to look for relationships. You have to survive relationships. You want to have kids. Why? That's just problems. Every child, more problems. Then they grow older and you increase the dose of problems as you go along. Little kids, little problems. Big kids, massive problems. And it's all about like going places, and you have no choice. You got to eat and drink, and you got to pay tuition. And so you got to make money. To make money, you have to find a way to go out there and collect, and it's a war. It's a war of survival, first and foremost. The second war that takes place is the internal war inside your head. So that there's a lot of factual stuff that goes on. You got to go take care of making money. Great, but you also have to contend with these mood swings. Not other people. That's something else. That's external stuff. Your own mood swings. One day you're in the mood. One day you're just down, sad, depressed. The next day you're like, okay, let's go. 3 seconds later, down, up. Get that? Like it's we're just one big drama. Some people hide it better than others, but there's drama, internal drama inside each and every one of us. So let's get this straight. There is no way, so long as Mashiach didn't come and there's peace on earth, to avoid the war. Impossible. The war is a war which is, it's existential to mankind. The question is not whether to fight a war or not. The question we want to achieve is, can you fight a war, be in the middle of all the tension, in an absolute state of peace? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine going out to the middle of the battle, in the most dramatic spot, and just standing over there and have zero worry around you? That's the goal. It's not about not being at war. It's about learning how to fight the war, how to win the war, how to contend with all the external and internal challenges that go on. The Zohar puts it this way: Shas tzloisa, shas krova. The time of davening, praying, is a war zone. If you learn how to daven and have a war in the middle of your praying, and that becomes a war, you avoid the other war. You solve the problem. I asked a group of teens, boys, what's the most difficult mitzvah that the Torah has prescribed? What do you think was the answer? Davening? Shabbos. Honoring your father and mother. But the consensus at the end of the discussion was that the hardest, most challenging, most difficult mitzvah of all is saying Shema in the morning, because there's a time on it. 9:29, you have to finish the Shema. Most adults don't even know that there's such a thing as, like adult men, and many, you don't even know there's like, you never contend with the end of the Shema time. Why? Because you're davening at 6, 7, 8 if you're late. 9 o'clock's like, whoa. But if you daven 9, you still, most of the time, you just make the time of Shema. Very rare to find adults, whatever. But who davening late, that's not okay. Shabbos may be an issue. But teenagers, especially in the summer, is the most difficult thing in the world. You have to wake up in the morning and you actually have a time by which you have to be awake. It's not easy. Imagine. You just want to sleep. Kids love to sleep. Teenagers love to sleep. So ladies don't get this worry. It's like you got to understand, on a man, it's just a worry. Because you have to be awake by a certain time. There's a special way teens resolve it. They say, when is the earliest time to say Shema? You say, well, you're allowed to say Shema already when, Alot HaShachar already early, you can get away with it. Okay, so you can say, as soon as the morning star rises. So like, okay, 4:45 in the morning I can say it. No problem. So they wait, then they go to sleep at 4:30. Now he's going to sleep. That's perfect. Now you solved the problem. When I was a kid, so what happened was we were flying from South Africa to Israel, and at 12 years old, the tickets would go from child to adult. Nowadays, it doesn't really work, but so I was turning 12 a week later. So my parents decided to send me a week earlier. So I'm going a week before the whole family, and I'm arriving by myself in Israel. And so I stayed by my grandparents. And my grandparents were Holocaust survivors. They lived in Rehovot. And, that was the 1 week I really got to know them. And they lived at a 2-bedroom house. And there was 2 bedrooms and a dining room. And they slept in 2 different rooms because they had totally different schedules. My grandfather would wake up every hour of the night to learn and to whatever. My grandmother couldn't handle it, so they just slept in 2 different rooms. And they gave me the lounge, the dining room to sleep in. So my grandmother told me, he says, Schlaf gesundheit, sleep as much as you want. Enjoy yourself, it's fine. Whatever you want. So I went to sleep. She said, sleep as much as you want. So I took it literally. I think at like 6 a.m. I got this, okay, she walked in, she's like, how much can you sleep already? Like, wie viel kann man schon schlafen? She says, I'm waiting. I think my grandfather would wake up 3:30. She was up already like 4:30 and she didn't know what to do with herself and she needed the dining room and I'm still sleeping. So I was like, okay, that's it, we're done. And then I got my taste of what it means to wake up early. It's really hard. And you wonder sometimes, it's those questions that we all ask, like, so let me understand. You have to say the Shema by 9:29, right? Because the day is divided into 12 hours. And every day is, in the winter, the days are shorter, and in summer they're longer. And you divide the day into 12 sha'ot zmaniyot, it's called, right? And then you have till 3 hours into the day. So you have, 9:29. And they say, so you're trying to tell me that if I say the Shema at 9:30, Hashem's like, sorry, I'm done. I'm not listening to you today. But if you say 9:28, oh, now you're good. Really? That's what Hashem cares about? The time that you said the Shema? Let's understand a little bit about why the time of Shema is important. It's a deeper understanding of what we're trying to do in the morning. The Shema is the foundation of the morning prayers. The whole tefillah is Shema based. It's centered on the Shema. It's about working our way towards the Shema. It's like a getting ready and meditating to be able to say the Shema. And then there's afterwards like extracting what we just did and unpacking in the rest of davening. But the Shema is the pinnacle of the davening. There's 12 hours in a day, corresponding to 12 tribes of Israel. Each one of the tribes is another hour. And really what it means is it's experiences that you go through during the course of your day. You know, when you don't live with nature, you almost sometimes forget about nature. Imagine you live out in the field. Like I had this experience of taking a group of yeshiva boys this summer and we went to do a morning hike. And it was magnificent. Like you go out while it's dark and you just watch, like I mentioned that you watch and like 5:48 on time. It's amazing. You can tell exactly what, like there's a time when it's going to happen at 5:48. Like clockwork. That ball of fire just comes out from the horizon, the middle of nowhere. And it's like, you just watch it. It's unreal. It's an experience of like divine. It's absolutely divine when you're watching it happen. It's like, how does that come about? And what happens is, especially when you're out in the field and you're watching it, there's a certain freshness. There's a certain power, like a divine power that you experience. And you're gazing at the might of Hashem. If you're plugged in, then in the first hour of the day, you're gazing at the awesomeness of Hashem. That's why the first of the 12 tribes is called gazing. What was his name? Reuven. To gaze, right? She says, I'm looking at my son. Reuben means to be able to look at Hashem, to be able to gaze at the might and awesomeness and power of Hashem. And what that leads us to is really to be drawn into a relationship with Hashem. You're like, wow, he's unbelievable. So I gaze at him, I see him, and I'm drawn into him. What happens after that? Step 2. If you saw the might and awesomeness of Hashem and you were experiencing his greatness, what you do is you're like, you feel awed in his presence. It's like, wow, he's beyond anything I could ever imagine. So what happens is if you get close, then in a sense, you're drawn back and you want to pull back. We call it ahava and yirah, love and awe of Hashem. And when we say the Shema, in the first piece of Shema, we say ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha, means to be drawn towards Hashem. And that's like, look, you see Hashem and you're like experiencing his awesomeness. And then you say ve'aya im shamoa, because hearing versus seeing is getting close. Hearing is from a distance. Im shamoa tishmuel mitzvotai, then you'll be le'yirah. You'll feel the awesomeness of Hashem. The second hour is Shimon. Shimon means Shamua Tishmeu, to hear. You're seeing Hashem and then you're like looking, you're pulling back. Because when you see how great he is, you feel the awe. So after you feel the first love, the second hour, the second experience is Shimon, to hear. After that, what do? The third level is to just feel like, you know what? So this might of Hashem, I just saw the sunrise and I'm so awed by it. I'm like excited, awed. I want to cleave to Hashem. I want to be one with Him. How do me and Him unite and become one entity? We say after Shema, what do we say? What does it sound like? Emet, v'yatziv, v'nachon, v'kayam, v'yashar, v'ne'eman. 15 words to say the same thing. Synonyms. It is real. It's straight. It's true. It's trustworthy. It's beloved. It's dear. It's pleasant. Each one you're adding. What are you doing? You're saying, I want this relationship. It's like a passion. Yes. That's the third son. His name is Levi. What's Levi? Lavot. Hapam yilave ishi elai. Now what's ishi? My husband, my fire. I experience the fire. The first 3 steps of your day are Ruvain, Shimon, and Levi. When you see the sun rise, you feel this drawing, your soul's drawn towards Hashem. Then it pulls back at the awe of Hashem and it just wants to be present with Him. If you want to succeed in your day, you won't delay past those 3 experiences. You'll make sure to grab the experience and to say the Shema during those first 3 hours. Hashem is not telling you, you better do this. If you miss 9:29, I'm out. He's saying to you, every day is a war, an internal war that takes place. Because you have a lot of external wars going on, so you have to fight internally. In order for you to succeed in the internal war, in order for you to be able to conquer your own self, you need the power of saying the Shema. What is the Shema? It's your ability to go into tranquil zone. Because Shema, you have to go like this with your right hand, you close your eyes and you say, listen, Yidale Yisrael, Hashem, our God, Hashem is one. Nothing exists besides Hashem. How do you daven? Davening is about being able to gaze at the world, to look at the things around you, and to notice how you are always in the presence of Hashem. You're never separated from Him. There's nothing to be concerned or worried about. Everything is Hashem. And if you notice that and you take care and you look every single step of the way, Hashem is guiding me. Imagine you could look at the things that happened that you're not very excited about, the things that make you sad, and to realize you didn't do them. Hashem did them. And to look at the things that are in the future and to realize it's just all Hashem, and Hashem is good. That's what it means that hear, O Israel, Hashem our God, Hashem is one. Nothing besides Hashem. So it's critical to get that message across during those first 3 experiences of the day. And then, incidentally, there's the 4th hour. And the rabbis, the first one is biblical. The rabbis institute that by that hour you have to finish the Shmoneh Esrei. So we finish the Shema. After the Shema, you have the Shmoneh Esrei. So let's say 9:29 is 3 hours into the day. Then the 4th hour of the day is going to be, let's say, by 10:38. So by that time, you have to make sure you finish the Shmoneh Esrei. Why the extra 4th hour? Because the 4th hour is the 4th son, Yehuda. What's Yehuda? Lehodot means to praise, to thank. What's Ani modeh lecha? I thank you. Umodim chachamim leRabbi Meir. Ani modeh she'ata tzodek. Admit, acknowledge. We need to acknowledge Hashem's existence in our lives. The 4th step is you gaze at Hashem, you're awed by Him, then you just want to be part of Him, and then it's about let go. Acknowledge Hashem, let go every step of the way, and just accept whatever's going on is good. Whatever happened in the past is awesome, and the future is bright. And that's about letting go. Because when you don't let go, you keep on worrying, what's gonna be? It's an anxiety over what's gonna happen in the future. How can that be? and a regret and remorse and sadness over things that happened in the past until you let go. And you realized, no, you're in a battle and Hashem put you in the middle of this and Hashem is only good. And you can't just say that, you have to work it into your life. So after you say the Shema, you look at everything that goes on in your life and you say, Baruch Atah Hashem. Baruch Atah Hashem. 18, 19 actually of them. That's the Shemoneh Esrei. You're drawing Hashem into your life. I'm noticing how God is running every step of everything I do. That needs to be done, the rabbis tell us, in the 4th hour. So they're not giving us a time, you better do this or else God is not listening. They're saying, let's say you didn't daven Shema in the morning and now it's already 3 o'clock in the afternoon. What's going to happen to you is you're going to be attacked from all sides, primarily inside your head and inside your heart. And you're going to be prone to all sorts of negative thinking. And this is a solution for us. That in the first 3 hours of the day, we experience and internalize the Shema. And in the 4th hour, by that time, you have to have finished noticing, letting go. And then you have a successful day. It's about the best way to do this. Because davening is a war. It's interesting when Yaakov Avinu, he is giving he was admonishing Shimon and Levi, and he said to them, you guys went and you fought against Shechem. And it was terrible because you killed the city of Shechem, and I had to, it was nearly like we nearly lost completely because you were just angry at them. They could have killed us. Then he goes over to his son Yosef and he says, I'm going to give you the city of Shechem as a gift. It's an inheritance to you. Because I took it from the Amori with my sword and my bow. And you're like, hold on. You just said you were against the war that Shimon and Levi did. You said you were against them, and now you're saying you're the one who did it? Really? You didn't even go out to battle. You were against the battle with Shechem. So Onkelos, the translator, says in Aramaic, Slusi uba'usi. What does it mean, my sword and my bow? It's my prayers, my davening and my prayer. Yaakov says to them, while you guys went out to battle, you think you were fighting the battle? I was fighting the battle. I was davening for you. And here we deduce this powerful idea that davening is a war. What's the war? It's not about simply asking Hashem to give us what we need. Davening is about us internalizing that everything that happens is from Hashem. Whatever happened in the past is good. Whatever's going to happen in the future is going to be revealed good. So the past may not have been revealed good, but good it is. The future, it's not that, whatever happens. No, it's about letting go and being able to introduce Hashem into our lives. That's hard work. The Zohar says, Man dekati lechivya yahavin le brata de malka. I'll translate it for you and you'll see it's not, you'll get where all the movies got their, and the fairy tales got their ideas from. The Zohar said it first. He who slays the serpent, the dragon, is given from above the daughter of the king. Slay the serpent, slay the dragon, win the princess. So the Zohar says. What does it mean? You go out to battle, and you're going out to battle to slay the serpent. If you win and you slay the serpent, what you get is not victory over the serpent, but you'll discover the princess. What's the war against the serpent? The serpent, the snake, he's the source of all evil, right? Remember with Chava? He started up. All evil is the serpent. We live, we inhabit, we reside in a serpent's skin. You know what that serpent skin is? That layer of negativity that's on top of us all the time. And you're like, get me out of this. And you realize you're living in it. The serpent skin envelops you. And you want to escape, but get me away from this. Get away from it. That's what davening's about. It's a war of you getting happy, comfortable, tranquil, and realizing I don't need to control anything. It's good. Hashem is with me. Relax in Hashem's hands. We were discussing, right, once, about when you get on a plane, you sit back, you relax, it's great. There's a pilot out there who's very tense, actually. I mean, he's got to get going, but you're relaxed. Why? Because you're like, most planes, 99.999% of planes, make it. I'm not sure how they do it, but they get up and they climb and it just works. So, yeah, I don't know. And the plane bumps a little bit and you're like, whoa. Then you do statistically, most times it still doesn't. Okay, I'll be fine. How about relaxing with the big pilot in life?
Yeah.
That's what davening's about. It's our ability to sit down and to feel tranquility. You get it? It's not about asking Hashem, get me this, that, and the other, and then I'll be tranquil. It's about being tranquil before you get it. It's about realizing whatever Hashem gave you is great. And when you realize that, then the future is going to be awesome. And when you get rid of your anxiety and your worry, and you have a feeling of just Hashem's presence, you draw all the good to you.
You also conquer yourself.
You conquer yourself, and Hashem reveals himself. It's like a prophecy. Exactly what it is. That's hard work. Because you have to work, you have to start gazing at everything that happens in the world and see Hashem's presence in everything. So that's what the whole davening is about. It's about noticing the creation that is ongoing. Hashem is creating the world anew every single second. Whatever you're seeing is divine. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to be able to get that space. If you do, if you get there, what you win as a result is something much more powerful that you never dreamed of. What you get is called the princess.
Refinement. A refinement of self.
There is a special prize, and it lies in the middle of it all. Because you ever wonder, why does Hashem put us into this internal slavery? We're literally slaves. We think we're free people. We are enslaved to all the whims and issues that go on inside our heads. Why does Hashem do it for us? Because there's something majestic. There's something magical that happens when you walk into the tension and you daven and you experience this wonderful, great, awesome mode. And what you get as a result is things you couldn't have dreamed of. You don't just win that now you're tranquil. You earn a sense of connection to Hashem above that was not possible to dream of. It's called the princess. It's your soul. It's your neshama, your internal soul that gets revealed. Something extraordinary transpires. There's a beautiful story that's probably one of the most well-known stories out there. Let's dissect the story. There's this fellow called Haman, and he wants to kill the Jews. And Mordechai gets wind of it. And then he tells Esther. And Esther's shocked. But she's ready for the biggest shock of her life. Because what does Mordechai tell her? He says that you know that you're the queen. And you know that we were wondering until now why Hashem put a lovely Jewish girl into the palace over there in a harsh situation. And this may be it. I don't know. But there's a good chance this is it. And who knows if this is why you became the queen. And so he tells her, what I want you to do is to go to the king and intercede on behalf of your people. So Esther is petrified. And she sends back word to Mordechai and she says, everyone knows that if you go into the internal courtyard of the king without being called, you could just be beheaded in 2 seconds. And I have not been called in for 30 days. And Mordechai pushes her and she goes. So I'm going to ask you a very simple question. If you pay careful attention, what did Esther say? She said, I was never summoned into the internal courtyard of the king. And therefore, I'm scared I'll be put to death. I'll be executed. So I got a simple solution for you, Esther. Don't go to the internal courtyard. Go to the external courtyard. In other words, in the king's palace, so there's the actual palace where the king is. Then there's the courtyard. There's the courtyard, which is Chatzera Pnimit, right inside with the king. That's the scary place. There's also the Chatzera Chitzona. In case you're wondering, in the Megillah, when Haman asked Achashverosh to hang Mordechai on the gallows, what does it say? Where did he come to? Haman ba lachatzar beit hamelech achitzona. He came to the external courtyard. I guess he was smart. He's like, I don't want to go to the internal courtyard, because there, if you weren't summoned, you get killed. So I'm going to go to the external courtyard. And then he asks the king's ministers over there, he says, please tell the king I want to see him. I have a request. So Esther could have done the same, and then you would have solved the problem. What are you scared about? Being killed? No problem. Go to the external courtyard, talk to the ministers over there, and tell them that the queen wants to talk to the king. So if they say no, then okay, no. If they say yes, then you can go in. Problem solved. No fear, no worries. The king doesn't just kill you for asking from the external courtyard. Why does she insist on going to the internal courtyard? Good question, right? Like the story when you read it is, oh, she was scared to go in front of the king. No, going in front of the king was not the scary part. Going into the lion's den all the way in, that's the scary part. What she could have done was asked for permission to go in. For some reason, she couldn't go into the external courtyard. In the external courtyard, she felt she would never get the audience that she needed with the king and never get his attention. The only way to get his attention was in the internal courtyard. Why? Very simple why. Because in the external courtyard, Haman was able to get in. That's what he did. He went into the external courtyard. So she's like, if I want to get what I want out of the king, I have no choice but to go in the internal courtyard. And there, Haman has no access. No one can get in. Here's the thing. It's a hit or miss. It's life or death. It's the scariest place to be in. If you get in and the king extends his royal golden scepter, you get whatever you want. If he doesn't, you get beheaded. So it's all or nothing. Not so in the external palace. In the external courtyard, maybe he'll take you in, maybe he won't. It's not so scary because the stakes aren't so high.
Well, it's also a battle with Amalek, because Haman is Amalek.
Yeah. You get where we're going with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know who Esther is?
Esther?
You.
No, we are.
Have you ever gone to a scary place? What's a scary place? There's zone 1, external zone, Chatzera Chitzona. It's very comfortable to be there. It's like, thank you Hashem, right? We thank Hashem for the wonderful thing He gives us. We're grateful, gratitude. We're excited. It's great. Things are good, right? You dive into Hashem. They call it cultural Judaism. But I don't mean in a negative sense. It's very powerful cultural Judaism. It's not just cultural. You're not doing it by rote, but you're not taking risks. You're not going into scary places. You're just cruising. Every so often, though, Mordechai says, you got to go to the scary place now. The scary place is where you are absolutely and utterly reliant on Hashem. There's nothing in the world to do. I was talking to a young lady who just last month lost her husband, and he left her with 9 kids. He was 48 years old. He had a battle with cancer for 18 months, and he lost. And it's horrendous. And she's now in this position, and what does she have available to her? She has 9 kids. Her youngest is 6. She is the most positive person you could ever imagine. She's just a ball of absolute utter joy. And now she's been dealt this deck of cards. And I was thinking about it, because I had a long chat with her. And she's like working through it, the emotions internally. And it's a very, very challenging process. It's like, why does Hashem do this? Like, what was he thinking? Life was so good and normal. And they were running they're such holy people. Like, really holy people. They were doing everything Hashem would want. Like, really, really, really special. And I was thinking about her situation now. Did you see Mordechai saying to Esther, I don't know why Hashem did this. I have no clue. Like, why does there have to be this Haman who suddenly wants to get in the middle of everything in Amalek and just destroy whatever was good? Like, what are you thinking? Don't know. No idea. But I do know what you need to do now. What you, Esther, need to do now is walk into the lion's den and not be afraid. And what it means is, you know your relationship with Hashem? You've had a very limited relationship with Hashem, a cultural relationship. Just cruising. Hashem was doing good things, you were there, the regular stuff, the regular problems. There comes a time when you face the deepest challenge, where to be in a state of joy now is not something that comes natural. You need to walk right in, and you need to do hard work and constant work to appreciate that Hashem is the joy in your life. It's to find joy before there's what to find joy from. Because in her situation, there's nothing to look forward to. Like just gloom and darkness. But you know you don't have a choice. You want to raise kids. You're either going to be in a state of joy or you're not going to succeed. So you don't have a choice. You see Hashem beckoning. He's calling you in and he's saying, Chatzera chitzona, the external courtyard, an external relationship with Hashem ain't going to work here. It's all or nothing. And so you step into the seat and you're like, how am I supposed to be happy? Like, what does that mean? I should find joy in this horror? I don't know the answer. And I understand Esther, who was petrified to go. She's like, it's not fair. What do I need to go for? Why do you do this to me? That's the inner voice screaming at you and saying, let's get depressed. But if one day Esther makes a firm resolution and she says, I'm going right in front of the king. The king is Hashem. What does that mean? I'm going right in front of the king. I'm going to face, right? It's both. You see the scariness because it's this king of flesh and blood, Achashverosh, and it's also the awe of Hashem. We're going into places that it's all or nothing. The relationship with Hashem is not, oh, nice, yeah, sure. I daven, I learn, I do good things. Most people maybe can have that relationship. Esther had no choice. The relationship was to walk right into the zone of absolute unity with the divine. In other words, you got to close your eyes and say, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And you truly feel that nothing exists besides Hashem. And you notice it and you pay attention to it. And you feel it and you allow yourself into that zone of pnimiyut, of being one with Hashem. If you do, you could die. Because if you just let go, it's like, well, I'm just accepting whatever Hashem does is good. It feels like letting go of all my dreams. It feels like, okay, I'm just going to be happy with whatever it is. I'll let go of everything. That's death. But in that zone, the king says, wow, you made it here. You get the royal scepter. So Esther has to work through her petrified experience to get in. Every Elul, as we prepare for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, we start saying, LeDavid Hashem Ori, and there we say, Lecha amar libi bakshu fanai et panecha Hashem avakesh, which we translate as, seek my face, I look for your face. But panecha, why is a face called panim? Because it's your pnimiyut. Bakshu fanai, I'm looking for an internal relationship with Hashem. Not just the relationship where you say, yeah, Hashem does good, I do good back, yeah, we do good back. No. Et panecha Hashem abakesh, I look for the deep internal relationship, the chatzera pnimit, where me and God are just absolutely one. This is hard work. And guess what? Every one of us in life has no choice. But at some point, we can't use the cruise button. You got to get in and do stuff. And every time you do, the Mordechai inside you tells you, okay, you got to go in and you got to rely on Hashem. You know, sometimes, like, you have worries of parnasa. Like, just absolute worries of how am I making my money. That's called shibud. It's a slavery. Like you're mamish enslaved because you have to pay certain bills. You have no choice. You don't pay them, what's going to happen? And when you're faced with that slavery, it's all too easy to give up. Give up means get into a negative space. And whatever that entails, which is not good, there is a way. And it's a very scary way. It's like, so you mean to say that if I have bitachon, if I trust in Hashem, suddenly I'll have all my money? You're kidding me, right? Ever had that question? You know who's talking there? That's Esther telling Mordechai. He's saying, have bitachon, trust in Hashem, it's all good. Saying, you know it doesn't work. I've trusted in the past, it doesn't work. You need to go out and somehow make money. I'm so angry and so mad, Hashem is not giving this to me. Getting in front of the king means letting go. Absolute tranquility. But how am I going to get the money? That's the question. So if you go into the chatzera chitzona, the external, it's like crying to Hashem, Hashem, stop it already. Give me this money and davening and going out and work and fretting and being angry. And that's a natural response. But that's the external courtyard. What we want to do through our prayers, through our davening, especially this time of year, is to get into the internal space with Hashem. Here's the story. If you trust in Hashem, you will get everything that you want. But make no mistake, if you really trust in Hashem. You know what to really trust in Hashem means? It means that your heart is tranquil. You're just happy. Okay, now I've got more problems because my heart's really sad and mad and whatever. Work. It's hard work. It's the war against the serpent. But when you get through it, you win a beautiful princess. You're in a neshama. Always, in the weeks before Rosh Hashanah, we read, in the Torah, it tells us about this war. The Torah says, Ki teitzeh lemilchama al oyevecha. When you go out to battle against your enemy. You know the story? Unetano Hashem elokecha biyadecha, and you win the battle. B'shavita shivyo, you capture a captive. And in the captivity, what do you see? A beautiful woman. And you want her. So what do? Well, you bring her into your home, she has to cry, and she has to shave her hair and get rid of her nails, and then take off her captivity garment, and she cries. And then what happens is, you can marry her. So you'll have relationships with her one time, and you can marry her. And most of us read this, and we're like, okay, whatever, interesting. Here has some ideas that are fascinating. We certainly don't apply it to us. It's a story of you and me. We all go out to battle. Like Esther, all of us go out to battle. What's the battle? It's most likely what's going on in your head at this very moment. It's the internal battle with the external forces, and it's a hard battle. And the Torah tells us how to fight a war. Never fight a war head to head. You know, like the British used to, the old system of fighting. If I have 30,000 soldiers and you have 40,000 soldiers, you're going to win. Because what we do is we put them at each other, the lines come in, the first 25 lines, and 30,000 soldiers die. So if I have 30 and you have 40, the chances are that you have 10,000 more than me, so you win. And we both lose 30, so you gain 10. That's how wars were fought. Head on. The Torah says, never fight a war head on. You got to have a brain. You got to figure out tactics of war. Ki tetzeh lemilchama, not el oivecha, but al oivecha. Rise above your enemy. Who's your enemy? The Yetzer Hara. Your enemy is the inclination inside you. Inside your head. Who's all the time negative. Don't fight him. Don't go head to head with him and saying, no, it's really going to be good and it's okay and it's whatever. No. You know what you do? You sit down in the battle and you start talking about Hashem. You close your eyes and you say, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. There's one God. And God controls everything and everything's from Hashem. And I have nothing to be afraid of. Hashem is it. And you allow yourself to feel Hashem's beautiful, awesome presence in your life. That's what it means. Ki tetzeh lemilchama, when you go out to battle, you go al oivecha. Esther's like, I ain't going to the external courtyard. There I'm going to have to contend with Haman. I'm going right inside. What does it mean inside? It's this absolute space of just giving it over to Hashem. So you got to pay your rent this month. You start saying, Hashem, I have no money. I'm going to pay my rent this month. You have to. He's like, good luck with that, because you actually have to pay the check and write it out. And you're like, but how am I going to do this? You walk right into the tension. And you walk right into the internal zone and you monitor how you feel. And you watch all your anxiety in your heart. And your heart's going to race because you need to pay the money. And you're going to go into an absolute space. You watch your heart from inside. Shh, you just watch it racing. And when it finishes racing, you say, yeah, Hashem says he'll take care of me, so he's taking care of me. So I have nothing what to be afraid of. It's all good. He said, but where am I getting the money from? You see Esther saying, what do you mean? He might kill me. Walk right in. What does it say next? You will see a beautiful princess. You will see that in order to find that beautiful safe zone with Hashem, it only happens if you have to pay the rent. If you didn't have to pay the rent, you wouldn't notice Hashem. Like, watch your fear, watch your anxiety, so that when Hashem takes over and you get what you want, you're like, wow, unreal. You'll start seeing the majesty of God in your life. It's unbelievable what you'll start noticing. But you have to do it in a tranquil way, yes?
Just a question. When you say you'll get everything you want, if you enter the inner courtyard
Mm-hmm.
and then you're at peace and you have faith in Hashem, that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get the money, but you have a better sense of self and you're at peace with whatever the outcome is. Is that what you mean?
No.
Or Hashem guarantee will give you the money?
Listen to what it says. You'll capture the captive and you'll start noticing that there's a beautiful woman. Mm-hmm. There's a princess inside the enemy. Hashem doesn't give you problems. He gives you opportunity to discover the princess. That's what he's doing. The princess is Hashem's daughter. Hashem's experiences which are in this world. Because if it works, right, it will be amazing, right? In other words, if you just have, Hashem helped me, he gives me whatever, it's great. But if you're not, like totally, you have no idea, and then suddenly it happens, you ever had those moments? It's like, wow. That's the princess. But you know what you have to do? In order to get there? The Torah says, so you'll see this woman, you'll desire her. You have to desire her. You have to yearn for her. You have to truly and honestly want Hashem to help you. If you don't truly want Hashem to help you, it's not going to work. It's a matter of walking into that zone and absolutely relying on Hashem. And you look at yourself and all the anxieties and you're like, okay, I get you, I hear you, that's my enemy. And I'm going to get to that tranquility. And it takes time, it takes a lot of davening. It's a war zone to not fight a war, to get above it. What do? You have to take this woman and marry her. Bring her into your home. It's about living for real with this tranquility and trust in Hashem. That is just, yes, I feel this for real.
It's like a union between you and God.
Yes, for real. Try it out. Try it out. The next thing you have, it's hard work. Try it out in things you think are impossible to get. And then you'll be like, but I didn't get this. Shave her head and get rid of the nails. What's the hair? The hair is all the thoughts. Hair comes from the brain, right? All the hair from the brain. Get rid of it. Your mind's going to go and say, maybe yeah, maybe no, I shouldn't, could, all directions. Just relax. It's relaxing in the power of Hashem. You know what the nails are? Those things that hurt people. Get rid of them. What does it mean to get rid of them? It means, in case you think you're going to sit down and not have to work, and just say, oh, Hashem's taking care of me, it's all good. I don't need to find the shidduch, because Hashem's doing it. Nope. He's not doing it. You're doing it. Because if you're trusting Hashem that He's going to do it, right, you're actually not trusting Hashem. You're just giving up. This doesn't mean giving up. It means that you're going to go do all the work, everything you're going to do. You got to pay the mortgage this month. You got to get the shidduch. You're going to call people up. You're going to hit the phones. You're going to do everything you can, but you're not going to stress over it. That's all. No nails. It's not stressful. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. If you're relaxed and you know Hashem's taking care of you and everything's fine, you got rid of the hair, the extraneous thoughts. You know what that means? You accept disappointment.
Yeah.
Saying, I accept that it's not going to work.
Because when you want to things, it's your ego.
When you're pining for it to work,
Right.
you're blocking the energy. You're like, it's fine. I don't need this to work. It's not what you say. It's what you actually believe. That means shave off the head. Get rid of the hair. Get rid of those extraneous thoughts. I need this to work. If it doesn't work, my life's over. It's not going to work. By the way, it isn't going to work. You know why? Because you're a human being and you don't even know what you want. Hashem's going to give you what He knows you want, and you just tell Him what you want. And then you'll get that plus many times over. So here's the idea of life. It's about us being able to live life with absolute tranquility, bitachon, trust in Hashem. It's about us realizing that the more we pine and the more we fret and yearn, the less we get. That your energy is blocking all the good things from happening. What we want to do is realize that in life, we're going to go through tension, wars. But the only war we need to fight is the war against our internal self. And you just monitor yourself every time and you look at how you're feeling and you say, okay, I'm going this, and I daven and I see Hashem is in my life, yes. And as I notice Hashem, I allow His presence into me, I allow the tranquility to take me over. And I accept that it's not going to happen. It's not me saying, Hashem, you promised me this is going to... No, it's not going to happen. None. And you're just going to be tranquil. And then you get rid of the nails, which means you just sit there and you go do your thing. You make the call and then you block the head from thinking about what you just did, because that's the biggest issue. The head, which keeps on worrying about maybe not, that's getting rid of the external. And you walk into that zone. And then what do? You have this princess in your house and you let her cry for 30 days. That's not a cry of sadness. That's a cry of joy. Like Rabbi Akiva, he says when he heard these amazing new chidushim from Hashem, he was just crying for joy. This is the cry. The Arizal says whoever doesn't cry during the 10 days of tshuva, his soul is not complete. What's the crying? It's not crying, oh, things are terrible. It's a cry of joy. Like, I don't understand how this happens. Suddenly, the king just gave me his royal scepter and everything's unbelievable. The story of preparing for Shana Yom Kippur is the same story as Esther. It's about our ability to get into a zone with Hashem that no man has ever known. The most unbelievable zone of absolute chatzera pnimit. Et panecha Hashem abakesh. We're looking for a relationship with Hashem. Davening always works. Davening this time of year is the best ever. What's davening about? You're feeling Hashem's presence. So let's summarize the steps. Step 1 is you got to go out to battle and you monitor what you're feeling. But you don't take a head on, you go above it. I'm anxious, I'm feeling anxious, okay, signed. I go, Aloy Vecha, Hashem is still with me, in the middle of that. And then you notice how there's good things over there, and you just yearn for a relationship with Hashem. All I want is a relationship with Hashem. And then you start taking that into your home, and you internalize the sweet, beautiful bliss of Hashem's presence. And it's going to be tremendously hard work to be tranquil. Very, very hard work. And then you accept, you get rid of the hair, you accept whatever happens is good. Disappointments, fine. And I'm going to go do my thing without nails. I'm just going to do it and walk back. And then you go into a space of just crying with Hashem, experiencing Hashem's presence, the excitement, and you'll see it's something that makes you cry. And then, and then you're allowed to have relations with her. What does that mean? It means you experience an absolute oneness with the princess, with Hashem. Because life is not about a problem to you. The biggest challenge to you, what appears to be a snake, that's where the princess is. The biggest challenge is your closest friend. That's where Hashem's presence is. And that's our Avodah.
Thank you.